I would prefer laying on the couch talking to you, but I just don't think that's a great look for me. So I'll just sit here. But it's been a time. I was having trouble sleeping at night. I don't know the last time that I had dinner. I just haven't had the appetite. I was getting up in the middle of the night sometimes and just very deep in thought, considering my situation and just trying to figure out how I'm navigating through it. And then one day I was in the bathroom and I was like burying my face in my body towel, just asking God how I was going to be able to get through that day. Because when I tell you, I felt like just crawling back in my bed and hiding under my sheets. I just had no energy. How am I supposed to have enough energy to go to work? I don't even have energy to like get myself together. You know, these days it's like when you feel something, I feel like it's important to acknowledge it. Before, if I felt away, I just pushed myself through it. I was giving myself like these mantras to chant to myself. I can do all things. It's gonna get better. I'm still a winner. I'm victorious. Looking back now, I don't feel like I gave myself time to grieve whatever it is I was going through. It's like I was trying to overshadow what I was feeling and really just pushing my feelings down and covering them with this like self-motivation. But I didn't give myself the moment to actually understand what I was feeling. Why was I feeling that way? Now I give myself the grace to actually consider what's going on in my life and determine how I'm really feeling in that moment. It's love. If I was in a relationship and I was telling my partner that I was having a hard time and his response was, "You'll get through it," wouldn't that be dismissive? I would be hurt by the idea that somebody didn't give me a moment to be heard. So I feel like it's the same thing with self-preservation and self-love. When I'm going through something, I can't tell myself like, get through it without giving myself a moment to hear the matter that's on my heart. I think in the end of this personal conversation, I was like, it's going to be okay. We'll figure it out. The only resource that I don't have control over is time. And I think that's the uncertainty. In the interim, I'm like, I really am readying myself. It's just the stress of the unknown timing. You know, I missed a couple of deadlines. I didn't make good on my own word, which is not something that I usually do. But even to myself, like there's been things that I've been trying to do in the last year just to, help me along, like continuing telling myself that I'm loved and adored. I had a reminder every day in my phone. And I mentioned this previously in a podcast episode with Maggie. I really felt like I had believed I'm loved and adored. So I didn't need the reminder anymore twice a day at 8 a.m. and at 9 p.m. at night. So I decided to diminish it. And somehow the reminder stopped alerting. And I realized recently that there had been weeks that had gone by that I didn't tell myself that I'm loved and adored. And you may not think that's a big deal, but the practice of doing so helped me and healed me through so many things that I was carrying for decades unknowingly. You know, I started learning French in 2024. Yeah, I was telling my loctician just this week that I had really wanted to learn a second language. This was something that I had in the back of my mind after I finished my doctorate. I was like, now we're going to learn another language. I put an alert on my phone to remind myself every other day at 8 p.m. to do a lesson. And every night that it goes off, I ignore it. And I said it to her, I didn't in the moment, I wasn't trying to look for a resolution. I wasn't even trying to fix the fact that I was doing that. And maybe 2 nights ago, the alarm went off and I ignored it. And I was about to go to bed and I looked at my phone and I was just like, you got to do better. You said to the loctician, you have this alarm on and it's on your phone to keep you accountable, and you are ignoring it habitually for months. 4 months. This is not just a couple of times. We're talking about 6-7 months in that I'm just ignoring it. So I'm going to bed that night. And in that moment, I held the phone in my hand. I was laying in my bed and I was just like, in my mind thinking like, say something in French. Just to remind yourself that you were learning French. I said, je ne dois pas faire ça. Which is, I shouldn't do that. I shouldn't ignore the alert. That's the reason why I put it on the phone as an accountability measure. And I opened up the app and I did a lesson. immediately I thought like, yo, in the spirit of resurrection, we're approaching Resurrection Sunday. I'm like, yo, if I feel like I'm in a dead place, you have to encourage yourself and get up in the name of Jesus. I can't keep on laying down in this lull. What does it profit me to get up every day and drag myself around? I'm not defeated. If I'm believing that there is going to be a solution and a conclusion of this current storm, even like outside of me, the war that's happening, I can't even read news anymore because it's just devastating and I don't even understand what's happening. I just know that right now there's a lot of trouble happening in the world, but I can't allow that to make me feel like I just can't go on. I have enough to continue the journey. So earlier today, I decided we were doing a couple of things differently. Let me connect with some loved ones. So I called my oldest niece, and then after I called her, I FaceTimed her sister. And then later on in the afternoon, my youngest sister called me and we spoke for a while. So I was like, okay, we're working on social connections today. Let me take care of myself today, thinking positive thoughts. Let me remind myself who I am and what my purpose is. I'm purposed to survive. I'm purposed to achieve. I'm purposed to love, to have joy. I don't want to wake up and take anything for granted that I should be giving praise for. So when I was speaking to my niece, my eldest niece was like, I haven't seen a video in a while. I was like, yeah, I've been like down in the dumps and I'm going to do one today. And honestly, I was going to do one last week and the week before because there's a lot of things that I'm doing that I don't want to do. And that's what's making the journey feel harder because there's things that my life is asking of me that I'm just like, I don't want to do this. And in order to get through it, I have to create some type of balance. Just tired of putting on faces like everything's good. Everything sometimes is not okay. And it's okay not to be okay. I rejoiced this week because one of my friends has she's been going through some time, just trying and still enduring. And finally, her tribulation was resolved by just one change. She had been enduring that for so long. And in a moment, that thing changed. In a moment. I look at that storm sometime. When we look at the hurricanes and we look at the tornadoes and we look at the earthquakes and we look at snowstorms and blizzards and all of that. In the moment, things are treacherous. Okay? Treacherous. You think about all the devastations that happen when there's a tsunami, all of that. But there's an after the storm. Sometimes it's years after, days after, weeks after. But after the storm, things begin to improve again. There's things that start to build up. There's a resiliency that you have developed through it. And I think about the storms in life the same way. It's like it feels bad right now, but in a moment, this will change. In a moment, this will pass. And there'll be something beyond this. It doesn't mean that it is going to be perfect because the resolution to the storms, it happened in stages. Like look at the blizzard that we had in New York. Yo, it was crazy. How much snow was outside? And snow melted like maybe 3 weeks ago. Right? But in the moment when the snow was falling and when the snow was out there, it shut down so many things. My pipes bursted. There wasn't any water running. Just a few weeks later, the snow is gone. My pipes are fixed. The turmoil that I went through in that moment, it resolved. It's over. Just because of the changing of the seasons. And I feel like that's what life does as well. You don't know how long you're going to endure the season, but the season always changes. Don't mean that it's always going to be better. There is still a resiliency that you are adapting, that you're creating while you're going through it, where there's an assurance that, yeah, I'm going to get through it. So yeah, I know I haven't posted videos in about 4 weeks. My life been lifing. I felt like I had justification in not sharing my story. I kept on asking myself, what am I going to share? And today I was just like, share the truth. I just feel like sometimes I'm going from one battle to the next. I just want a break. And I find moments to escape, and I'm sure there's certain times where I feel like it's lighter than others, but I just want some, I just want something normal. I want something to feel lifting, And I've been trying to do all the things to keep myself going, like all the things. Self-care, self-awareness. I mean, right now I'm listening to my neighbor upstairs. I don't know if you can hear him, but he's having a good old time doing karaoke by himself. I hope you don't listen to this video. I'm not speaking ill of him, but I'm just like, well, dang. At least he got something going for himself to keep himself occupied to get through it. You got to figure out whatever that thing is. Whatever that thing is, you just got to get through it and do it. I've been humming. I've been singing to myself quietly. I've been trying to remind myself to read and to stay curious, just stretching, exercising my brain a little bit differently, being quiet, considering others, doing something good for other people, That's important. And yeah, just staying connected and just trying to be a better version every day, giving myself just a little bit more grace to get through it. Looking over everything, this journey ain't that bad. I just wish sometimes it was a little better, but we'll get there. I mean, if I'm looking over, the watches of my life, we certainly aren't where we started. It has gotten better over time, and I just have to keep on believing and achieving that I can continue moving up, moving further, moving farther, going deeper, getting wider. Here is my update. Things will change. I don't know when, but I know it will. This too shall pass. Thanks for watching Her Private Parts podcast. I'd love to hear from you. Leave me a comment.